Hello, sorry to have to add another little bit onto the video, so this is a part 2 just to go over a couple of wee things that I missed. I've just put it back together again and I realised that I never mentioned a couple of things. So the first one is that when you put this back together, but when you take it apart, first of all there's a spring, which if I can show you, it's very very hard to hold the camera and point at things. I'm not professional, let's be honest, I'm not a professional, but in fairness this is not my job, so hopefully I'm better at my actual job than I am at this. But if you look right there, you'll see there's a spring, it hooks on to a little lug that's attached to this thing here. This is the thing that I had off earlier on, that I was explaining comes off with these two screws here, which are now Allen keys because the screws were shit. But anyway, so this bit here, this whole bit here is the bit that I showed you with the wax chamber inside it and the plunger on the end. The plunger's now pointing down the way. So the plunger's down here at the end of the screwdriver, but just to the side of that, just to the right. So this is you looking at the bike from the back. Okay, there's the front of the bike there. This spring needs to unhook from one end or the other. I would suggest trying to unhook it from the bottom, because what happened to me when I unhooked it from the top is it sort of slipped out the pliers that I was holding it with, and it pinged down into the bottom of the engine here somewhere, and I had to get it with a magnet stick. Not the end of the world. When I say fell into the engine, obviously I don't mean into the engine. The throttles are all closed and they won't open when you pull the actual throttle thing. So you're not going to drop anything in there. But it fell down sort of behind the starter motor kind of thing, and it was a bit of a pain in the arse to get it back. But anyway, I got it. So probably easier to take it off from the bottom first, so it's still attached to the top lug here, and then it will stay on there, and you can then sort of lift this up, take the spring off so it doesn't drop, fix the plunger, and then put the spring back on the opposite way around, because that was the way I did it, and I found that the easiest way to get it back on. Hook the spring onto both lugs before you put this back on, just sort of hold it back far enough to give you more movement, more free play, and then because you're working against the tension of the spring obviously at this point, and then just kind of pull this up, and it sort of sits over the top, the bracket that's attached to the wax chamber goes over the top of the brackets on the throttle body, so you're sort of pulling it up against the spring and then sitting it on top, and then I just put these in finger tight, and that was that. The other thing though that you need to know that I forgot to mention is that I mentioned earlier that this was for adjusting the cold idle speed. It's not, obviously I said that by mistake. It's the hot idle speed, it's the normal operating temperature idle speed that's adjusted with this. You turn it clockwise to turn the speed up, and you turn it anti-clockwise to turn it down. And all this is just a cable, just a metal, same idea as a clutch cable or whatever else, same type of thing, just a wire cable that runs along inside a plastic sheath, and it comes up. If I can show you it, nah, I don't even know where it goes to be honest, but anyway, it comes up at the other end of this here. Now if I can show you this, because I realised after I'd done it that I hadn't mentioned this either, but if you look down there, God, it's hard to get a hand, a light, a screwdriver and a camera all into the one bit, but basically there. So sorry, you need to bear with me here, I'm really not doing too well at this, but I'm trying to find where the camera is actually pointing, because where I'm looking is not where it's looking, if that makes any sense. Yep, there it's there. Okay, right, so if it will now focus, it would be good. Come on. Right, okay, so can you see the end of that screwdriver? I'm just sort of turning it about there, pretty much near the middle of the screen. This bar here is part of the adjuster mechanism. This is the thing that the throttle, the tick over speed thing presses against, if you like. So when the plunger adjusts the speed, it's this bar that it's moving. Come on, focus, for crying out loud. Right, okay. But the wee bit there, see, I don't know if you can see right at the end of that screwdriver there's a wee shit, there we go, it's focused at last. Right at the very end of that there's a wee shiny bit you can see. That is the end of the idle speed adjuster for the normal operating temperature idle speed. So as you turn that little wheel I showed you at the side of the bike, it's essentially pushing that in and out as you turn it clockwise. It's pushing against that, which is in turn moving this bar up and adjusting the speed upwards. And likewise, when you screw it in the way, turn it anti-clockwise, it's allowing this to go further back against the tension of that spring that I showed you earlier. So you need to make sure when you put this thing back on that you put it on straight, so that the little bar and the wee sort of nubbin thing, that wee bit there, is right under the centre of the bar, so that it adjusts the tick-over speed, because obviously if you don't get it in the right position, then it doesn't matter what you do with your tick-over speed, it's not going to adjust, it's just going to go past it, if you like. And the reason I know this is because I just did it 2 seconds ago. When I put it back on, I realised that that little bar was missing this bit here. It had sort of pushed its way past it. It's not the best setup. I mean, you would think that the bar would be thicker so that it can't miss it, but anyway, that's what it is. So there you go. So I hope that's hopefully the last that I'll have to talk about this thing, because it's an easy job to do, and I don't know how much a garage would charge you, but it's definitely something you can do yourself, because I've just done it and it's taken me, including filming it, probably about 20 minutes, maybe half an hour in total, but it's not too bad, and it's definitely worth fixing. And I'm hoping that when I start the bike the next time when it's cold, it'll tick over at a decent speed and not be splutter, splutter, splutter. So anyway, there you go, that's the story. Hope that's of some help to you, and thanks for watching part 2.